say these invocation prayers as a form of gratitude, to show our gratitude towards all the previous acharyas who have sacrificed so much for us just to gain this little bit of insight and a little bit of this knowledge, which is just of a different nature. And so that's why we do Mangalacharya prayers before we begin any talk or anything like that. So if you know it, follow along, and if not, then you can just simply meditate on it and close your eyes and meditate on it. Okay? Thank you very much. Om Jnanat Mirandasya Jnanandana Salakaya Chakshuvamilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Katamayam Davati Swagatantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Shri Guru Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Gunadhanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvitam Savadutam Harijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitascha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Bhakta Kansha Gaurangi Radha Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sure Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Kavitanam Bhakti-yogyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you very much. Now we shall begin part one. Part one, love the process. So as I mentioned briefly in the introduction, this is sort of going to be the pre-meditation or pre-exam work that we're going to do. Revision, studying, time management, and avoiding procrastination and things like that, if we can. Okay. So first, we have to first think, who here is a student? Put your hand up. Just put your hand up here if you're a student.
Everyone's a student.
Good. Yeah, I was going to say, even if you're not a student, technically you're still a student for life. So, you're going to be a student of life. So everyone should put their hand up for that one. Good. Who genuinely enjoys or has fun studying and revising? Don't shy. Anyone put their hand up?
Put your hands down.
Yeah. I should really try and put my hand up if I'm going to give this talk. So. Good. Okay. So we can see that we're all students. That's the first tip. But then not so many of us enjoy or genuinely relish studying. Like if I said, oh, everyone put your hand up if you enjoy playing sports, if you enjoy socialising with your friends, or going out to the park or partying and whatnot, then everyone would be putting their hands up, right? But then for studying, not so many hands go up. But if we actually look, the majority of our time will go towards studying and working even in the future as well. So if we're not enjoying our studies or our work, then what question can there be of happiness and satisfaction? Then we're just going to be simply living for the weekend. Or actually, if I flip it the other way, if we genuinely did relish our studies and our work, then imagine how much more satisfying and happy we would be in life. Alright? Okay. So first, we need to look into a little bit of history of why are we studying, why do we maybe not so much enjoy it. So ever since we were young, nursery, primary school, we've been studying and we've never given it much thought because it's been a norm, hasn't it? Yeah? But then we first got to ask is, well, when we were younger, who were we studying for? Who were we studying to satisfy? And if we think back, we were thinking that, oh, well, if I study and get some good results and I go back home and I tell my mum or my dad, if I get a good result, they'll be pleased. And in that way, automatically, I will become pleased and satisfied. However, if I don't get such a good result, then I'll come back home a little bit more sheepishly and I'll deliver some not so good news, and my parents will be a bit more displeased or dissatisfied, and then in turn, naturally, I will become more displeased and dissatisfied. Okay? And so there's two things that this creates. Firstly is that, who are we serving? Will we ever be able to fully satisfy our parents, our society, ourselves even? So firstly, it's the who. Secondly, it's the why. We're doing it to gain some results. But since we were very young and we've been growing up time and time again, we've been taught that failure or failing is not good. Because our parents become displeased and then we naturally become displeased as well, right? So we associate failure with a negative feeling, right? And then that leads on to our high school studies in GCSE, our A-level studies, and of course also university. Okay? And if there is this fear, how can happiness or joy come from fear? Right? Okay? So for part one, I want to try and tackle the who. Who should we actually aim our efforts and our endeavours towards? And then part two, as I mentioned briefly at the start, we'll talk a little bit more about results. And then part three will be a secret still. So, okay, so part one. So, to really look at who we need to study for or work for, first we must appreciate what studying is, the nature of studying, the nature of work, right? Because no one actually reflects on why we don't really enjoy it. So we can argue, for example, that studying takes time, it takes energy, and it takes a lot of effort, right? Yeah? We can all agree on that. So in other words, we can say that we're sacrificing our comforts, right? It's much more comfortable to just sit down and chuck on a film or something and eat some popcorn and enjoy that, right? So voluntarily, we are taking on some suffering. And then this suffering has to go towards some benefit, right? Who's it going to benefit? Who are we aiming to benefit? In this case, we were aiming to benefit our parents, to please our parents. Because we know if our parents become pleased, then we become pleased. Okay? But instead of trying to aim all our efforts and all our results to our parents, maybe if we try to divert this and try and please and satisfy God. Okay. So, instead of trying to satisfy our parents, we should try and satisfy God with our endeavours and our efforts. But why? Why am I saying this? Well, let's see. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Bhagavad Gita chapter 3, verse 9, Krishna says, Yagya tat karmano niyatra lokoyam karma bundanaha tadatam karma kunteya mukta sangha samachara. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu must be performed. Otherwise, work will cause bondage to this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction, and you will always remain free from bondage. Hopefully, I think I should have that as okay. So Krishna here says in Bhagavad Gita that work done as a sacrifice must be performed. And we've just agreed and established that our studies are a form of sacrifice, right? So this sacrifice, Vishnu is saying, or Krishna is saying, has to be performed. But for whose satisfaction? For his satisfaction. Okay, so first stage is to appreciate and realise that our studies are hard and we're actually voluntarily taking on some pains. And we should see that our studies are a form of sacrifice. But then who are we doing this sacrifice for? We're doing this sacrifice for Vishnu. Okay? So now the question should be, okay, I'm doing this work as a sacrifice for Vishnu, but why would that satisfy him? Why would my sacrifices satisfy Vishnu? Right? So I'll give the analogy. Actually, a fellow flatmate that couldn't join us today, Grace, me and her had this conversation actually, so I'll use her in the analogy. So I was talking to Grace earlier when we were in exam season, very stressful time. Not so great. But so me and Grace were talking about, she was sitting there eating her, I think it was tomatoes and like pasta, classic uni student meal. And so I went up to Grace and I was like, well, Grace, what would happen if I cooked for you for the next 3 weeks? During exam season. I know all my other flatmates are looking at me like, I didn't get this offer. But no, I was saying, what if I went out and cooked for you for 3 weeks? Okay. And then I said, what would you really appreciate though? Is what you would actually appreciate is that you'd see that I'm taking out the time, I'm sacrificing my time to go out shopping to get ingredients. Then I'm sacrificing my money to get some good quality ingredients. Yeah? And then I'm bringing these ingredients back home and I'm sacrificing my energy to cook it. Chopping all these paneer, vegetables and chucking all it. It's a lot of effort. Okay? And so therefore, before Grace even touches my meal or tries the dish, she's thanking me so much. Why is she thanking me so much? You haven't even tried it yet. What if the dish is completely, not tasty or anything? So what's she thanking me for? She's thanking me for all the work and sacrifice that I put into it. That's where the appreciation and satisfaction actually comes from. Because she can see that I've done this from a place of love. I'm not gaining anything from it, and nor do I want to gain anything from it. But I'm doing it because she's, one of my closest friends. So I'm putting out the time to sacrifice my energy, my money, my effort, my energy levels to produce something for her. So before she's even tried it, she's thanking me so much. So in this way, similarly, God sees our endeavours. He sees our endeavours and he sees our sacrifice. And this sacrifice is what truly pleases him. Okay? So, we've established that instead of trying to satisfy or work to satisfy our parents, ourselves, or our society, we should try and aim our efforts to satisfy God. Okay. And I've also hopefully tried to explain that how do our sacrifices actually satisfy God. Okay. So now that we've established that, now that God's happy, where does that leave me? Right? That's good and all. Well, okay, yeah, cool, we're making God happy. But how will that lead me to enjoy studying? How will that lead me to relish studying? So now we would need to look at Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, chapter 31, verse 14. Narada Muni was having a conversation with the Prachetas, which was a family of, they were grastas, so householders, i.e. they had family life and all, and then they became monks, and so they were having a conversation with Narada Muni, a very exalted sage. And he was talking to them a little bit about, why should we serve God? How can we satisfy God? And then Narada Muni goes on to say, Yata taro mulana sechanena tripyanti tatskanda bujo pasakaha prano parahak kayatendriyanam taithave sarvahanam achutyajya. If one supplies water to the roots of a tree, automatically the branches, the twigs and the leaves will become satisfied. If one supplies food to the stomach, then automatically all the limbs and the senses will become satisfied. Similarly, if we engage in the transcendental loving service of God, automatically all the demigods and all other living entities will become satisfied. Okay. Unfortunately, I don't think I got a slide for this one. No. Okay. But we're going to have a look on Veda based at that quite later. But here it's clearly explained that God is the roots. God is the roots of everything. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, verse 8, Krishna says, Aham Prabhavo
Aham Prabhavo Mat Sarvam Pravartate Iti Patva Bhante Mam Buddha Bhava Samanvita.
So Krishna clearly says here, I am the source of everything. Okay? In Bhagavad Gita 10:8. So if Krishna is the roots of everything, then what does that make us? But we would be seen as the branches or the twigs or the leaves, right? Or the limbs and the senses. Okay? So naturally we can see that we have to try and satisfy the roots And once the roots are satisfied, then automatically it's guaranteed that the branches, the twigs and the leaves will become satisfied. But what's happening now is that we're trying to satisfy the branches and the leaves, trying to water the branches and the leaves directly. And unfortunately, this is not leading to the right results, right? Okay. But there's also another very interesting fact here, is that Krishna says he is the root of everything, okay? So root of everything. And we are the leaves, branches, and whatnot. But then if Krishna is the roots of everything, then everything in existence will become satisfied if we satisfy him, right? Because we're living entities. So by satisfying Krishna, we will become satisfied. By satisfying Krishna, then our parents, who are sort of left to the side a little bit, they too will become satisfied. Once they're satisfied, the university, the college that we're studying or working for, they will become satisfied because we'll be gaining good results. And then once we've got good results, then society will be satisfied because we'll have some qualifications that we can use to serve others. And then once the society becomes satisfied, then we can make other societies satisfied. And then once other societies are satisfied, then other countries can become satisfied, then other countries are satisfied, then we can make the whole world satisfied. And then once we make the whole world satisfied, we can make all the other planets satisfied. And then once we make all the other planets satisfied, we can make the 7 lokas up, 7 lokas down satisfied as well. So this is the nature of trying to satisfy the roots of everything, right? So God clearly says here that I am the root cause of everything. So if you aim to satisfy me, then in due course of time, naturally everyone will become satisfied. Right? Okay. So that's why in satisfying God, we too are guaranteed to become satisfied. However, there's one more catch, unfortunately, as of everything, is when we do water the roots of a tree, it will take some time, right? It will take some time for the water to travel up the xylem, for everyone doing GCSE is a good bit of revision, travel up the xylem and get to the branches and the leaves, yeah? So it will take some time. Similarly, satisfying the stomach will take some time for the other limbs and the senses to become satisfied, right? Yeah. So we need to be patient as well. And we need to trust the process. In Bhagavad Gita 18:37, Krishna says that at first this process may taste like poison, but soon turns to sweet nectar. Okay? So we can see that in every walk of life in this sense, when we're trying to satisfy the roots or satisfy the stomachs, we need to be patient. We may not gain the results or the satisfaction straight away, but once we have genuinely, sincerely aim to satisfy the roots, then it's guaranteed, it's automatic that we will become satisfied. So even if we don't realize this in the first instance, after some time, we will come to realize that, wow, yes, now I am genuinely satisfied and happy with this process. Okay? So that's part 1. The mindset or the philosophy we should go into studying. You know, when I'm going down to sit down for revision, I just repeat this constantly. I say, okay, so my studies are a form of sacrifice. All sacrifices should be aimed to satisfy God. And then once God is satisfied, then it's guaranteed that automatically I will become satisfied, my parents will become satisfied, and everyone will become satisfied. Okay? And in that way, there's no question of me getting, worried or stressed about things or procrastinating, because there's a lot at stake here, isn't there? Yeah, it's my happiness and everyone else's happiness, but I have to have a trust and a faith in it at first. I have to have a trust and faith in it at first, and then gain the results after. Okay. It's like, for example, if I went to Liz Sheeder, so she's the head of the medical school at the University of Manchester. If I went to Liz Sheeder, called a meeting, and I said, okay, I'll tell you what, let's make a deal. You guarantee me an honours or a pass, okay? You guarantee me an honours and pass, and you just write it here. You do it first. First you do that, then after I'll put in the work to get the result. Will she agree to that? No, probably not. She'll probably be like, yeah, I don't think you're going to get away with that one, mate. You better start going back and making them Anki flashcards and revising and whatnot. So she'll say, no, you need to first put in the work. And then, and only then, can you gain the result. Right? Then and only then can you experience the result. Okay. So, I'll do a little recap of part 1 for us. Part 1 recap. So our studies equals a form of sacrifice. And then this sacrifice will satisfy God. Because we've got to remember, God is omniscient. Okay? He can genuinely see our mood and our feelings towards whatever we're doing. So if we're genuinely, from the bottom of our heart, going into our studies thinking, okay, this is a form of sacrifice and I'm doing it for your satisfaction, God, then there's a love there, isn't there? Like with Grace. Grace clearly saw me endeavouring so hard. I didn't go to Sainsbury's to get the paneer. Instead, I went and took a bus 1 hour away to get the best quality paneer for Grace. You can see my endeavour, my sacrifice. I went the extra mile out of love. And Grace knows that and sees that, and she appreciates that even more. Right? Okay? So that's why our sacrifices will satisfy God. They will satisfy God. And once God is satisfied, then it's guaranteed that everyone will also become satisfied. Okay? So that's part 1. Sort of pre-exam, the philosophy or the mindset we should go into it. Is that okay? Yes. So my studies are a form of sacrifice. This sacrifice will satisfy God. And once God is satisfied, then I'm guaranteed to become satisfied. Eventually. Okay. I'll take questions at the end. So keep them in your head, keep them locked and loaded, and then we will go through them at the end, alright? Okay, so that's part 1. Now, I alluded to it a little bit, but part 2, we're going to be talking about results. Okay. Oh, I have got a transition on that one. Very nice. So, part 2, results. Okay, so, we'll start again with some questions, just to keep you guys involved and engaged. If I could, because we've all had exams in and around soon, or we will have some in the summer. If, let's say, I don't know, I spoke to Rishi Sunak, I had him on speed dial, I had a little conversation with him, and I said, okay, just for this person, you can guarantee them that they will get a good result. Okay? I'll guarantee them that they will get a good result. Who would opt for that option? Who would say, yeah, sure, please, I'll be happy to take that good result. Yeah. Okay. Makes sense? People will go for the good result. If I went to Rishi Sunak and said quite the opposite, it was like, oh, Wade's been annoying me, let's guarantee him to get a bad result. Who would agree or opt in for that?
We want him to get a bad result.
Yeah. Okay, so no one's opting in. We all love you, mate. But no one would opt in for a bad result. Okay. And then the last option is Rishi Sunak, top guy. He can sort us out and he can get us a perfect result. Who would opt for a perfect result? I like one with Rishi Sunak. Okay. So, good results and perfect results seem to be the popular ones. But then if I had to tell you to choose one, which one would you go for? Put your hand up for good results. Okay. Put your hand up. Yeah, we've got one there. We've got a second one. Okay. We've got a third one. Yeah. Who would put their hand up for perfect results? Okay. Slightly more popular. So we all fancy some perfect results. Okay. So we've got three sort of pathways here, haven't we? We've got good result, how we should deal with those. We've got bad result, how we should deal with those. And I guess, because that's where the majority lies, how do we then actually achieve perfect results? Can this be achieved every time? Maybe. We'll see. Okay. Let's start optimistically. Let's start on the good pathway. Alright? Let's say good result. Okay. So, in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 47, Krishna says, Karmani vedikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala hetubhir ma te sangosta karmani.
I think you have the verse.
Yes, I should have the version. Yes, perfect. So, here Krishna says, you have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. Never consider yourself the cause of the results of your activities, and never be attached to not doing your duty. So attachment to duty and things like, we can do a whole nother talk on that. So we're going to leave that slightly separate for now. But there's an interesting bit that Krishna says, is never consider yourself the cause of the results of your activities. Okay, interesting. So, let's say, for example, we had some mock exams, or is it formative? Formative, is that the one that doesn't count? Or is it something? Yeah, it's formative. Good. Alright, so let's say we have a formative exam, and we do like really, really well. You know, we do really good. We should always come back and realise that, wait a minute, actually, who's responsible for this so-called result? From the Gita, you know, God or Krishna clearly says that actually you're not the cause of your results. Okay? So in this way, we should never have an inflated ego, or we should never fall into complacency, thinking that, oh look, now I've achieved this result, now I don't need to work or endeavour anymore. I am the greatest. Okay? Here in this verse, Krishna is protecting us from falling down again. Right? Because if we do become overinflated and think, oh yes, perfect, you know, I'm getting good results now, I don't need to do any work, you know, I'm just going to leave my studies to the side. But actually, in the first part, see the little link here, in the first part, it's actually our endeavour and sacrifice. It's our endeavour and our sacrifice that satisfies God. So if we stop this endeavour and sacrifice, then what results are we expected to gain? Right? Okay. So, good results. We should never become too egotistic or proud of any results we do achieve. We should remain humble, so we avoid complacency. Because in the bigger world or further out, for example, if we're practicing. I apologise. That's alright, probably. So, for example, in the future, I'm practicing medicine, right? If I became complacent at any point during my medical career, this could cost a life, right? So I can never come to a stage where I think, oh, I'm too good to endeavour, I'm too good to work. Okay, and in this way, Krishna is protecting us, and in this way, we can see that any good result is actually a gift, right? Because we're not the cause of the results of our activities. So here, Krishna is gifting us a good result so we can progress, right? Because, you know, to get into, for example, university, your university, especially Manchester, will lay out very, very high grade requirements, right? Okay, so we do need to achieve so-called good results, but we should always realise that this is actually a gift from God. And that He is giving us the opportunity to progress. Right? And in that way, it's a form of God's mercy. Right? So good results are a form of God's mercy. Okay. So that's good results, is that we should see them as a gift given by God, and that they are ultimately God's mercy. Okay. So, good results equal God's mercy. Next, we'll go down the scary route. The bad results. Okay, so everyone agreed at the start that they don't want bad results. We would even argue that some of us have a fear of getting bad results. You know, we have exam anxiety or other things like that. We have exam anxiety and fear. Because what we really fear, we're fearing failure. We're fearing the bad results. Okay. Does Krishna help us out in Bhagavad Gita, even with bad results? Yes, he does. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 40, Krishna says, Neha vikramana sosti pratyavayo na vidyate svalpamappi asya damasya trayate mahato bhayat. In this endeavour, there is no loss or diminution, and even a little progress on this path can protect you from the most dangerous type of thing. Okay, so I should have this one as well, hopefully. Ah, look at that. Good. So here, Krishna is saying that, well, if you do divert your attention, if you divert who you're working for and who you're trying to satisfy, and you divert it towards me, you try satisfying me, which we established in part 1. Well, actually, here he's saying, in this endeavour, there is no loss or diminution. So Krishna is seeing our work and our endeavour, and he's making a note of that. And that's not lost. Okay? So that doesn't mean at that time we have failed, but later we may not regain it. Okay? Whereas, in the material world or material activities, we see failure as an all in all. We've put in so much work to revise for this exam, and we've come back and failed. Now I have to restart the whole task and whole endeavour again. But actually, Krishna says that no, if you were sincere and if you endeavoured, then in this process, then there is no loss or diminution. So all the work you've done wasn't for nothing. Okay? And in that way, you shouldn't feel deflated when you fail. Because you've made that progress, and that progress can't be lost. It isn't lost. And we can build on that further. Okay? And for example, if I failed, we're getting our results tomorrow actually, aren't we? Well, this is a good part.
Is that just for the medical school?
Yeah, just for the medical school. You've got a couple more days. But no, so let's say I get my results tomorrow and I fail, or I get a bad result, okay? But then I retake it again in June, and I pass in June. Then was there any question of actual failure? Maybe in January, at the time, at that specific moment in time, in January, I have failed. But actually in the grand scheme of things, since I've passed in June, did I really fail? I know there's slight inconvenience coming back in the summer holidays and all this other business, but even then, in the grand scheme of things, I haven't actually failed. It's just at the time I failed. Okay? And we can only gain this perspective by understanding what Krishna says here in the Gita, is that there is no loss or diminution. Okay? So even though in that time in January, it seems as though we failed, the reality of the matter is that actually all our work led up to the June exams, and we passed the June exams. But how can this quote further dispel our fear of failure? How can this relieve us from the fear of failure? Right? Well, I'll give the analogy. Since my brother is here, I'll use him in this analogy. Okay, let's say, so everyone's, you know, a deck of cards. Everyone's heard of a deck of cards? Yeah. There's this nice little game where we can build like a tower with the deck of cards. Like build a big tower with the deck of cards. Okay. So let's say one day I'm sitting down and I'm building a tower with this deck of cards. But in the back of my mind, because building the tower with the deck of cards is a very delicate activity. I don't know if anyone's actually tried it or gone into the effort of doing it, but it's a very delicate activity. And so I start building this tower with the cards, but in the back of my mind, I know my brother's lurking. He's somewhere, yeah? At any moment, he can come through the front door. He can come down the chimney, yeah? He can come down the roof or something, and he can just destroy my tower of cards at any moment. of course I'm always going to have the fear in the back of my head then, aren't I? Right? That, oh no, I'm going to build it very, very carefully, but always having the fear. My mind's always going, oh, could my brother come at any moment? Could my brother come at any moment? I don't want my progress to be lost, right? So in that way I'm anxious, constantly anxious. However, if instead I then go and ask my mum, I'm trying to build this tower out of the cards. Please can you protect me? Please can you protect me from my brother? Make sure he doesn't come and destroy the tower. Then, and my mum says, yes, don't worry, I will protect you, whatever it takes. Yeah? There will be no loss, there will be no diminution. Then, I'll sit down and I'll start building my tower so enthusiastically, so happily, because I don't have a fear. I'm not anxious of it being destroyed at any moment. So I can concentrate and be completely absorbed in it and genuinely actually enjoy it without any fear. Because I know if my brother does come flying down that chimney, my mum's there to protect him. Yeah? So I'm not focused or worried about that. I'm not even considering or thinking about failure.
Yeah, you can send us all.
Sorry, no, that's okay. Sorry, come in. So in that way, I'm freed from this fear of failure, and I can actually become absorbed into building this tower. Okay? And so I'll be concentrating on building the tower, but I know my mum's protecting me. So I'll enjoy the process, because my mind is fully absorbed in the process. I know this can't be lost. So all the energy, all the effort, all the endeavour I put in can't be lost. Okay? So why would I fear it? Whereas now what's happening in our studies is that we're thinking, I'm putting in so much effort, I'm putting in so much endeavour to try and achieve some result. So if I fail, all my efforts will be lost. That's going to give you fear, that's going to scare you. And like I said at the start, if there's fear, how can there be any happiness? How can there actually be any satisfaction? Right? So I took a little bit more time on this bad results, but this fear of failure and bad results is quite an important aspect. And we've got to understand from this quote that Krishna is going to be the protector of all our endeavours, all our activities. Okay? So there is no loss. There cannot be any loss. Krishna promises this. Okay? And in this way, we can absorb ourselves in our work, and we can genuinely enjoy and relish it without a fear of the results. Right? Because we know that it can't be lost. So we can keep building our tower and building our tower and building our tower more and more and more. And in that way, we lose the fear. And once fear is lost, then naturally we will become more happy. Naturally we will become more satisfied. Naturally we will relish. We will relish actually studying. Okay? And in this way, this also can be seen as Krishna's mercy or God's mercy. Okay? So, good results, we managed to conclude eventually that good results are God's mercy, because the results of our activities aren't in our hands. So the good results are God's mercy. The bad results, God protects. And because we trust his protection, because we have faith in his protection, then even that is also God's mercy. And so how do we always achieve perfect results? Is once we come to this realization that so-called good results, so-called bad results, all of it is God's mercy. Once we genuinely realize that all results are God's mercy, then every single one of them becomes a perfect result, right? Because good results will help us progress along the path, along our path. So getting from A levels to university, good results will help us carry on that way. Bad results also help us massively, don't they? Because bad results let us know, well, we're not doing so well. Okay, my revision technique wasn't good enough, or my time management wasn't good enough. Yeah? Or my determination and motivation wasn't good enough. Okay? And in that way, bad results also teach us so many things. So surely, good results, bad results, once we actually realise this truth about it and have trust and faith in God, then naturally they all become perfect results. Right? Okay, so part 2 recap. Good results equals God's mercy. Bad results equals God's mercy. Realization that it's all God's mercy will mean that we only achieve perfect results. Now imagine you're sitting down and you start thinking, don't start thinking about summer exams yet, or else it's going to get very, very sad very quickly. We can wait a little bit longer. But when the time comes, inevitably, that we have to start revising for our summer exams, if we have in our minds that I can only achieve perfect results, genuinely I can only achieve perfect results, because it's all God's mercy. At the time I may fail, but then I'll pass later on, and I'll learn so much, in that time period between January and June. Then it's all going to be perfect results only. And if we're all working for perfect results, then naturally we're not worried about the results. We have no fear for the results, and we will be absorbed in the activity. We will be absorbed in actually revising and actually studying, and then we'd actually enjoy it and relish the studying. Okay? Here for part 2, there's also another very interesting thing called the Super Mario effect. Has anyone heard of the Super Mario effect?
Yeah.
Yes, Vishal? Yes, Mother? Yes. So the Super Mario effect illustrates this also quite nicely. I know we're talking about God and now we're talking about Mario. That's how, God can get his hand in anything, God, yeah, even in Mario. But the Super Mario effect basically explains that has everyone played Super Mario? Everyone's heard of Super Mario at least, yeah, right? Yeah, okay, good. So we play Super Mario Bros. And we genuinely enjoy it. But Super Mario Bros. In reality is just failure after failure after failure, isn't it? It's constantly just failure after failure after failure. Because we'll go and start a level and then we'll die at a certain point, but then we know we'll get a respawn. But for the next time we do that level, we're going to keep in our mind, oh, I died at that point because there was an angry mushroom. I think that's what they kill you, don't they? Yeah, an angry mushroom. So I'm going to jump over the angry mushroom. And in that way, you go again, but with more enthusiasm, with more pleasure, with more joy. Because now you're in knowledge, aren't you? That, I know I'm going to trip up here, so I can avoid it for next time. Similarly, for our studies, right? There is no loss or diminutions. So constantly, even though it seems like we're failing, we're actually just constantly respawning, but respawning with more knowledge and more experience. Yeah? And then in that way, we should take each activity and each endeavor with even more satisfaction, even more enthusiasm. Because now Krishna has revealed to us that, you might go wrong here slightly, so avoid it. And now I know, I will avoid it now, and so I have a higher chance of going on to complete the level. And in that way, it becomes a very enjoyable process, isn't it? It becomes like a game. Okay? So that's why, realising that good results are God's mercy, bad results are God's mercy, realising that it's all just God's mercy, we will only attain perfect results. Okay? Good. Let's see the time. 2. I have another 15 to turn on.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you. Because now we come to part 3. Okay. So, part 3. So here, obviously everyone's come to the temple today. So God's been mentioned a couple times. Surprise, surprise. So, and an underlying factor amongst part 1 and 2 is that we need to have some level of faith or belief in God, right? Because it's good and all for me to show you some Bhagavad Gita quotes and whatnot, but if you have no genuine faith, if you don't believe that, there is no loss and diminution, Krishna will protect me or God will protect me, then none of this will help you. None of this will be applicable to you, right? So that's why part 3, what I'm going to try and show is that actually, innately, we all are serving God, okay? And we all do have faith in God, okay? And we can develop that faith further through a certain process. So part 3 is Part 3, developing our love for God. Okay. So again, as I think you've caught on now, once we start every part, we'll ask a few questions. So who here likes science? Enjoys science? Who here likes science? Enjoys science? Yeah. Layla, not so much? No, fair enough. Good. Well, you didn't put your hand up now, but after this talk, you will also enjoy and love science. Because actually, developing our love and faith for God is actually a very scientific process. Ooh, controversial. What's he talking about? Religion and science, do they go together? Well, first we need to try and see, what does science actually mean? What is a science experiment? Okay, science experiment. First, we have a hypothesis, right? In any science experiment, we have a hypothesis. What I believe will happen. Okay. For example, for GCSE revision, or anyone do a GCSE revision, we'll take photosynthesis as an example, right? For photosynthesis, let's say that light intensity increases the rate of photosynthesis. That's our hypothesis. Yeah? Make sense?
Yeah.
Then what we would do is we'd carry out an experiment or a practical. We'd have a lamp and we'd move it certain distances away from the plant or the leaf, and then we'd record, and then that's our experiment. Yeah, is that we have some sort of experiment. Then after the experiment, we gain some observation or some result. Right? This result would be GCSE revision. Hello, oxygen probe in the soil. That could do the trick. Yeah, oxygen probe in the soil. And if oxygen concentrations increase, then light intensity does have an effect. And then using this result, using this observation, we can prove or disprove our previous hypothesis, right? Okay? Makes sense. So similarly, for this process, we have to have a hypothesis. I believe God does exist. Okay, cool. Or I believe God doesn't exist. Okay, cool. So you can have either hypothesis. Okay? But the important thing is that you need to do an experiment. We need to go out of our way and actually test and try this, no? Right? Or else how can we prove or disprove our hypothesis? Right? So we need to carry out an experiment. Now there is a very nice experiment that we can carry out, and I'm not going to reveal that quite yet, but I will do very soon. But then after we carry out the experiment, these experiments take some time, right? I was reading a research paper the other day actually about like red meat and cardiovascular health. And I was reading it, and they done the study for 45 years. The study took 45 years for them to actually gain some results or observation. Okay? So experiments, they take some time. Okay? Any experiment can take time. And then after we've done the experiment, we will gain them results, we will gain them observations, experiences, and then and only then can we prove or disprove the hypothesis, right? That's just natural, that's a scientific process. So similarly here, as I said, we'd have our hypothesis. I do believe in God or I don't believe in God. Then we'd have our experiment. So what is our experiment? Well, we have a formula called A, B, C, D, E. Okay? A, B, C, D, E. You know, see smiles floating around. Go on then, Ramesh Prabhu. What does A stand for?
Association.
Association. Okay, association of?
Devotees.
Association of devotees. Okay, very interesting. Krishna Prabhu. What does B stand for?
Books.
Books. Any book? Can I just go to the library and pick a nice cover? Or?
Books that will help you build a connection with the Supreme. So books like the Bhagavad Gita, spiritual books. So yeah.
Beautiful, fantastic. So books on a spiritual nature. Okay, discussing God. Aryan Prabhu. What does C stand for?
Chanting.
Chanting. There you go. This guy is mine already. Chanting of the holy names of God. Okay, very interesting. Father Prabhu. What does D stand for?
Diet, the best one.
Diet, the best one, yeah. That's how I managed to rope all of these guys in free food later. So yes, prasadam. Accepting only what's offered to God first.
Engagement.
And Vishak Prabhu, last but not least.
Engaging in service.
Engaging in service. Engagements. Okay. Engaging in service. Okay. So this is the experiment. This is the formula. It's very active, right? It's not inactive. It's very active formula. A, association. Whether you like it or not, you've already started your experiments, right? Because you've gained the association of devotees. Yeah. Okay. So A, we're already doing. We've already gained the association of devotees. B, books. Books like Bhagavad Gita, even other books like In Essence, for example, Science of Self-Realization. All these books are on transcendental matters, are on spiritual subject matters. Okay, and quick plug, they're all available here downstairs. So of course, hopefully, if anyone's interested, then come speak to me or anyone else, and we'll try and get you some books maybe to take home as well. Then C, chanting. So chanting of the holy name. In this age of Kali, the levels of sort of spirituality or religion has decreased massively. You can see this just by simple observation. If you go into any class or any school, you know, the level of people that are genuinely interested or engaged in serving God or loving God is decreased massively. So God, since He's so merciful, since He loves us so much, He's come down in such a simple form. It's just chanting the holy name. He says that chanting the holy name is non-different to interacting directly with you. Okay? So the Maha Mantra, which is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is directly interacting and engaging with God. What an opportunity, such a simple process. And in that way, we can genuinely develop our love for God, right? It's a golden opportunity gifted to us by the golden avatar of God, Gauranga himself. Okay? So chanting as well. And similarly, downstairs in the shop, we have the japa bags and the japa mala like Aryan Prabhu has got there. If you could just show everyone. Yes, beautiful. There
Show them like that.
Yes. So, for example, we have a mother bead. It's like the mother bead to show us when we've completed our rounds. And then we have 108 going all the way around. And just the Maha Mantra you just heard, we would chant that on one beat. So Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. And then we'd move on to the next beat. And we'd complete this 108 times. And that would count as one round. And then the aim of the game is to try and do 16 of these. So at first, of course, that's maybe not possible, but with practice, with time, that does become possible. Yeah, I think it was Annabelle, wasn't it? You walked in on me this morning, didn't you? I was chanting in our kitchen, and Annabelle just came in and was like, saw me doing that. So yeah, and this is a form of meditation. You know, it's mantra meditation. It's there to try and center our mind, control our mind, because procrastination, all these other things, motivation, occurs because we have no control over our mind, isn't it? Our mind says go on TikTok, we go on TikTok. Our mind says we go, don't do work, go raving, yeah. And then we go raving, yeah. So where the mind tells us, that's where we go. But imagine we had control of the mind and we said, mind, you enjoy studying, and then we enjoy studying. Mind, you enjoy chanting the holy name, and we enjoy chanting the holy name. How incredible would that be, right? Suffering only really exists in our mind. So this, thank you very much. Chanting is a very, very wonderful process, really. I highly recommend it, even just to control the mind. You know, it's a process anyone can take up. Meditation, very good. D, diet. Oh, I mean, what is there to say? We all love food. And the prasadam here at Manchester is levels. Yeah. So it's going to be really, really nice. And we've got prasadam later on today, so you can enjoy that. And this prasadam is food offered first to God. Okay, prasadam directly translates to God's mercy. We've already talked so much about God's mercy, so adding a little bit more of God's mercy is even better. And then that can help us develop even more love for God. Right? Like when I'll give another quick analogy. Like when we go round our grandma's house, for example, yeah? Even though we've just ate like a 3-course meal, let's say, even if we've just stepped into our grandma's house, she's going to force feed us at least something. Even if it's a biscuit or anything, she's going to force feed us it. Why? We're full, Grandma, you know, I'm fine, I don't need... Out of love, because she loves us so much. She wants us to first eat, then she will accept it, right? Imagine, you know, how much love there is there, how much enjoyment there can be from that. And then last but not least, engagements. Engaging in service. You know, I think me and Macy were talking about this the other day, right? Is that serving, you know, we want to serve others. That's why we've gone into medicine. We've gone into the medical field. We want to serve others. But as I briefly mentioned, you know, serving God is the roots of everything. Through serving God, naturally we're going to serve everyone else. Because we can become a fountain of peace, a fountain of joy, a fountain of happiness. If someone comes to you and they're always smiling, joking around and happy, they're going to naturally make you happy. That's going to spread, right? So this service, you know, we have to actively use our bodies to realise our love for God as well. So this is the experiment. This is the formula. We're sitting on a treasure chest here, guys, yeah? Genuinely, as I mentioned, we have our hypothesis. Anyone can have a different hypothesis. But we have to take the time to actually do the experiment. Then, and only then, can we experience some result or observation. Okay? And the result and observation is going to be something very, very personal. Everyone's result or observation is different. And it's very, very personal. Okay? So my final words would be to give the experiment a go. Okay? Just give the experiment a go. That's it. Any aspect. I'm not telling you to go away and do A, B, C, D, E, all 5 fully, perfectly. No, you can even pick just one of them. Just pick association of devotees. I've enjoyed coming to the temple here today. Once you taste prasadam, then naturally everyone will be saying that. So every Sunday, we have an event every Sunday, and you can come associate with devotees. Right? B, books. As I mentioned, downstairs we've got loads of books. Is it that I have to sit there and read for 1 hour every day? No, 5-10 minutes in the morning. Yeah, just read 1 or 2 texts every morning. Yeah, we've all got very busy schedules, but like Arti was saying, you told me your New Year's resolution. Would you be happy to share it?
So I'm reading 3 pages of like a sacred book, like, and then by the end of the year I would have completed the book because I don't have time to sit and read like verses and verses.
Exactly. There you go. So perfect. Just simple 3 pages a day.
Yes, page by page.
There you go. Page by page. A page a day keeps the doctor away.
Not the doctor, right?
Yeah, I'll see you later. No, but so books, and all the books are available. You can choose, you know, and even if you don't go straight for Bhagavad Gita, there's other books like In Essence, which can give a summary or an overview of the books. The Science of Self-Realization. If you're a bit more skeptical or scientific in your thinking or logical in your thinking, then you can go for Science of Self-Realization. Okay? So we have all these books available. C, chanting. I've already mentioned a lot about chanting and how it's a form of meditation, controlling the mind. D, diet. You know, food's been throughout the whole talk, and I guess now I've wrote myself in. I'll cook for you guys as well when we're back at the flat. So no, definitely, because food off to God. You know, food is what nourishes the body and nourishes the soul. You know, whenever we go out to restaurants. Why do restaurants have more than 1 chair per table? Right? It's because we love enjoying food with each other and enjoy serving God through our food, through our diet. We need it all for our survival, but we can use it too. And then engagements. The body has to be engaged. We have to always be active. And in that way, be active for God. Okay? So pick any of them, 1, 2, 3, any, and we can all try and work. I think I've got a summary, haven't I? No, I don't have a summary. But okay. So hopefully I'll manage to summarize. But that will conclude my talk. I thank you all very, very, very much for coming, and I sincerely apologise for any mistakes or any offence I may have caused in any way. I'm in no way advanced or have any real knowledge. I've tried, as I mentioned at the start, to repeat what the authorities have said, like a parrot. But even then, because I'm so fallen, even that I could have failed very easily. Okay, so I sincerely apologise, and if there's any corrections, please do let me know. Thank you very much.